Welcome to the Workamper Show, a podcast devoted to helping you discover how to finance your RV travel dreams. I'm Steve Anderson, the president of Workamper News. Each one of our episodes will either introduce you to people who are already living the RV lifestyle or to opportunities to work short-term jobs. You'll also learn how to hit the road the right way and make the most of every opportunity. Now let's turn over today's show to your host, Greg Gerber.
Thank you, Steve. Today we'll be talking with a very special woman who runs an entire ministry from her motorhome to bring hope to parents after tragedy strikes. Today's episode is sponsored by The Dreamer's Journey, a new online course and community produced by Workamper News. Life is way too short to keep your dreams on hold, so don't be held back by fear because you were designed for more. Get started with the RV lifestyle the right way with this comprehensive guide. For a monthly subscription fee, people can participate in 2 online webinars every week to learn things like what type of RV to buy, goal setting, how to budget for the adventure, developing a positive mindset, where to call home, and how to find a job or start a mobile business. All online events can be recorded for watching anytime. Subscribers can also join an open question and answer session each month. For more information, visit www.rvdreamersjourney.com. Laura Diehl is the author of When Tragedy Strikes, a book that relays her own painful experience of not only raising a handicapped child, but losing that child when she died at 29 years of age. Laura and her husband Dave founded GPS Hope, which stands for Grieving Parents Sharing Hope. And by traveling the nation, speaking at churches, and conducting seminars, they connect with hundreds of people who have lost children every year. Laura describes the mission of GPS Hope and explains how parents and grandparents can cope with the loss of a child. More importantly, she offers practical advice for the rest of us regarding how we can support those people. Running a mission from a motorhome has had its challenges, and Laura describes some of the ones they've overcome. Most recently, being full-time RVers, she describes what they needed to do when campgrounds were ordered closed and they no longer had a place to return to. She also talks about some of the fun places they have visited on their journey and future plans once the restrictions are lifted. She describes resources provided by GPS Hope and explains how people can help support the mission. To tell us more, please welcome Laura Diehl, founder of GPS Hope, to the show. Thanks for joining us today, Laura. I really appreciate that. Tell me a little bit about what GPS Hope is all about.
Oh, well, thanks for asking me, Greg. GPS Hope stands for Grieving Parents Sharing Hope. And about a little over 8 years ago, my husband and our oldest daughter passed away. And it sent us to a very, very dark place that I was very unfamiliar with. And as I was going through this, I didn't know anyone who'd lost a child. It didn't have anyone to connect to. And so as I began coming out of this darkness, I realized that I hated the thought of other parents going through this and feeling the same way I did and not having someone to reach out to with hope that you can live a life again beyond the death of your child. And it doesn't seem possible when you're in that darkness. And so through just a chain of events that happened, my husband and I do have a belief in God. And so we believe it was God orchestrating this chain of events. But we ended up starting a nonprofit ministry called GPS Hope. And one thing led to another. I became an author and just all kinds of things and started speaking. And we realized that we needed this ministry to be mobile. We needed to be able to travel and not hotels and planes and long car drives and, not in your own bed, not eating your own food kind of a thing. And so we started looking at getting a motorhome to be able to do this full time and travel in a much easier way. And so that's what we ended up doing. It took a couple of years of a lot of research to figure out what we wanted. At first, we thought we were going to get like a Class C and just kind of take it out for 2 or 3 weeks when I was speaking and then come home. And it just seemed kind of like almost like we were at a standstill. We couldn't find the right thing we wanted. The timing wasn't right. It just wasn't coming together. And then we both within 24 hours, my husband and I both realized we need to just sell our house and buy something bigger and live in it full time. And within 10 days, we had what we're living in now. We've been in it for almost 2 years.
That's neat. Now, how old was your daughter when she passed away?
She was 29.
Oh, an adult.
She was married. Yeah, she was married with a 9-year-old daughter. And if your listeners are interested, what happened was when she was 3 years old, she was diagnosed with bone cancer, and she had her little tiny left leg amputated at 3 years old and went through 9 months of chemotherapy. And to shorten the story, it was one of the chemo drugs that caused heart damage. And so for the last 10 years of her life, she was battling that, needed a heart transplant. There's a big long story behind that. Got a heart pump to run her heart, and she never made it to transplant.
Wow. So that's an incredible story. And it's so nice of you that you're willing to open up and share your own grief and how you process that with other people, because, your daughter was 29, but, people think, it's horrible to lose a child, and they think, somebody who is under 18 and how bad that is, but it's just as bad to lose an adult child, isn't it?
Oh my goodness, it does not matter the age. It just doesn't. Your child is your child, and you're supposed to outlive your child. Your children are supposed to bury you. You're not supposed to bury your child. And you're right, it does not matter what age, because now that we are fully immersed in this world of bereaved parents, I have met, my own aunt in her 80s. My cousin died at 65, and just watching her go through that, it doesn't matter the age. It really doesn't. And every age has its own layer of a different kind of grief, things that you have to grieve. As an adult child, a lot of us, our adult children, become some of our best friends. And so not only did we lose a child, we lost that friendship that we had with our child.
That's right. What kind of services do you provide to people?
Well, we do as much as we can. A lot of what we do is actually online. Now, right now, we're talking during this whole COVID-19 virus thing, and nobody's going much of anywhere. But we do speak at small groups, at large national conferences. We love to meet people while we're on the road. We will just go out. If you're within like an hour of where we're going to be, we'll meet up with you and have coffee or dinner or something. But as far as online, we do have a website that has a free library in it with a lot of downloadable sources. As I mentioned, God turned me into an author unexpectedly, and I've written 7 books that are available anywhere you get books. My main one that has won a couple of awards is called When Tragedy Strikes: Rebuilding Your Life with Hope and Healing After the Death of Your Child, and that's published through Morgan James Publishing. I have a monthly blog called Expressions of Hope. I have a podcast weekly called Grieving Parents Sharing Hope, and I have we send out a weekly word of hope to those who connect with us by email. And off the top of my head, that's what comes to me. But we try to offer resources in as many ways as possible, based on how that grieving parent can receive.
That's a neat story, and wonderful the resources that you are able to provide to people. And it's all done online. Is there a cost to this?
No, not at all. Not at all. We do have a store. We do sell my books we try to get it down a little bit less than what you can get in stores, and I'll sign them before we send them out. And anything that we sell, the proceeds go directly into GPS Hope. None of it goes into our pocket. And so we have what's called Pearls of Hope. That's kind of fun. We open oysters for pearls because the pearl is such an incredible, tangible symbol of hope that we have beyond the death of our child, the hope that we can still live a fulfilling life, not in spite of our child's death, but because of his or her life. And our life is still valuable because of our child and who they still mean to us. And So there's really, I mean, you can check out the store. There are some things for sale, but we live by supporters. We are nonprofit, and so we do that because we specifically want to make our resources free or very available or affordable. And I do have a course that I wrote on when tragedy strikes, and there's a free version, and then there's that's kind of a mini course. And then there's a bigger version that does, I think it's $97, and it just really digs into the book, really gives you these parents tools to what they take in the book and be able to apply it just piece by piece, because it's so slow to rebuild your life after the death of your child. And experts will say that it's 5 years and under for a parent who's lost a child is considered fresh grief. So if you know someone who's lost a child and it's been 2 or 3 years, you could easily think they're doing okay. But I can pretty much 99.99% guarantee you that's what you see, because they need you to see that. And at home, they're still a mess and they're falling apart. And it's also considered traumatic grief. And so a lot of parents deal with PTSD depending on how their child died. It's just a very complicated, dark place for a long time. And so we just want to be there and walk with these parents through that darkness and be the hope that a lot of them just don't think they have at that point.
So people who have lost a child, they reach out to you via the website. Is that what it is? And that's how they're connecting with GPS Hope. But you're traveling the country, speaking at churches and other places as well to deliver that message to bigger audiences?
Yeah, that's kind of the central location of this, of the website, which is just simply gpshope.org. A lot of people connect with us because they find the podcast. And that actually seems to be the most common way that people seem to find us is looking for a podcast to help them, and they find us there.
So you're communicating with people who are going through the grieving process and letting them know that they're not alone.
Definitely, because you do feel very alone. You do. And because a lot of our family and friends, they've not experienced that. They don't understand the day-to-day things that are kind of in our face reminders every day. And it's interesting that because our daughter Becca had the amputation at 3 years old, we had a front row seat what it's like to live with an amputation and the day-to-day things that happen. Having to decide, are you going to wear your leg today? Finding her leg laying around the living room. Becca, come get your leg. We keep tripping over it. I mean, just what size shoe do you buy when one foot grows and the other foot doesn't for a while until you get a new leg and a new foot? And we liken the death of our child to an amputation. When your child dies, it's like having a part of your very being has been cut off from you. And it's devastating. And you have to figure out how do I live with that part of me missing? And it's never going to look the same. Becca always, she couldn't keep up with the other kids. Sometimes it affected her in a lot of ways, but then there were also a lot of ways where she refused to let it affect her. And she lived a very full and thriving life with her amputation of having only one leg. And so we actually travel. You know how we keep things from our kids when they're little.
Mm-hmm.
And I have her very first prosthetic leg when she was 3 years old. It's very small, and it has become an incredible visual illustration to other parents on it's like an amputation, but you can learn how to live with that child missing, with that piece of you missing. And it's not going to look the same, but you can learn to live a life that is thriving and meaningful again. And you mentioned, how alone we can feel. And I think that has a lot to do with it, because if you haven't lost a child, and I don't like to compare grief, but and the loss of a spouse, I've never experienced that. I'm not looking forward to that. I don't know what that's like. When Becca died, neither my husband nor I had lost any of our parents. We have since, in the last about 2 years, lost 3 out of 4 of our parents. And I can say that it wasn't even close to what it was like for losing our daughter. And most parents will say that they've lost a spouse, they've lost parents, people, but there's something about losing your child that it's like a piece of you has been cut off from you, and you have to figure out how to live with that piece of you missing.
That's good. I would imagine that some parents, have mixed emotions too, especially if they've struggled with a child who has been sick for a very, very long time. And then, that's required round the clock care or special needs, special treatment, etc., that they feel this mixture of emotion of relief that their child is free from the disease. They are the relief that they are freed from this day-to-day struggle, but also grieving the loss as well. I can't imagine what that would be like for them.
Yeah, and I will say the grief outweighs the joy. It can take several years before you can get to the point where it's hard to focus on they are healed and whole, they aren't dealing with this anymore, because it's so painful. It's so painful to have them gone, that the relief of that, and it's even harder when people trying to comfort us will tell us things like that. Well, at least they're not sick anymore. And I'll just tell the listeners, if you know someone who's lost a child, I really highly recommend that you don't say anything that starts with "at least," because if you turn it inward and you think about if your child had a brain tumor or something like that and they didn't make it, is that really honestly how you would feel? Would you feel like, well, I mean, which of your children would you be happy and be okay with? At least you had them for 29 years, or at least you had them for 18 years, or at least it's not comforting to us. And the best thing you can do is to just be with us, hug us, let us talk about our children. That is one of the greatest gifts you can give to a parent, because one of our biggest fears is that our child's going to be forgotten and nobody's going to remember that our child lived. And so it is such an incredible gift that you can give a bereaved parent, to allow them to talk about their child.
So you encourage people to ask parents to talk about their children, because I think the natural instinct is, oh no, we shouldn't mention it because that'll upset them even more. But parents really love talking about their child.
Oh my goodness. And that is a huge misconception. It is extremely rare. Now, I will say, okay, like you're going to work, you're 10 months into this, the 1-year anniversary is coming up of your child's death. You're just a mess because you're thinking it was 1 year ago, right now we were doing this, and it's just horrible leading up to that. And so, like at work, someone saying, how you doing? How are you really doing? I mean, it might be the wrong place to do that. Hey, do you want to talk about your kid? Because you're going to fall apart. But you're right. A lot of people have the misconception that I don't want to bring up their child because I don't want to get them all upset again. And I guarantee you they are thinking about their child. I guarantee you that giving them an outlet, even if it comes with tears, is a gift, and it's a healing gift to us. And so don't feel like, oh my goodness, if I bring up their child, it's going to make them cry or it's going to make them remember. We already remember. It's impossible to forget your child. It is.
Yeah. Have you had any challenges running your mission from your RV?
That's a good question. And I really, other than the fact of learning how to live this way, it's a whole new world out there, living in an RV, and it's been a lot of fun, actually. The challenges of my husband is career IT. He's not a hands-on guy, but he sure is now. He's learning how to fix things and take care of things that he hasn't had to do. And so I think probably the biggest challenge are those physical things that everybody deals with when you're living in your rig and something's got to be fixed. Where do you take it? Who do you take it into? Do you call someone out? It's just that kind of a thing. But as far as the ministry itself, it has been a huge blessing. And one of the things that we do, we have a big logo on the back, and we call it the Hope Mobile. And we have hearts, in loving memory hearts, all over the Hope Mobile. And it does two things. Number one, it allows grieving parents, and we don't limit it to grieving parents. We want anyone who's faced a deep loss to be able to put an in loving memory heart on the Hope Mobile. And so it's a way to honor your loved one, especially the parents with the kids. These kids get to go around the nation with us. People will stand and read these hearts and where they're from. We put their name and where they're from. And the other thing is it helps us keep going, putting gas in the tank, because it is a $100 sponsorship to put a heart on the Hope Mobile. And so that has just been so much fun. In fact, we've got a heart sitting here right now that we're going to be putting on today.
That's neat. Have you had any interesting experiences along the way?
We have. One of them would be this whole COVID virus thing. And that is because, just like everybody, especially if you're full time, we were in Las Vegas when everything started shutting down. And that is just not where I wanted to be stuck.
Right.
That's not where I wanted to be. And so we went to Arizona, and as things kept going with this virus stuff, and having to make that decision, do we stay down here in Arizona? We have a seasonal lot in south central Wisconsin, and the campground isn't open yet because of weather, but then it was remaining closed because of the virus. And our family, our children, our grandchildren, we have 5 children. Becca was the oldest, and 6 grandchildren. They're all right in that area. And the whole thing, do we go home, that the campground's not open? And so we ended up, we have friends in Iowa who have a ministry cabin. We actually hosted a retreat here for grieving parents in Iowa at this cabin in October, when we pulled out in last fall from our seasonal lot. And so we knew they had a 50 amp hookup. And so we contacted them, and they very graciously have allowed us to park here at the cabin in Iowa, so that we're 1 state away and 4 hours away. As soon as that opens up, we're back home for that seasonal lot. And to me, I think that's probably the most interesting thing that we've dealt with. I have loved the travel. I've loved Lake Medina Lake, all the deer there. And I mean, to me, it's been a wonderful experience, and it's been a really good fit for us with this ministry.
So there have been some places or opportunities for you to have fun while you've been on this journey?
Yes, and we do, like I said, we have the logo on the back and all these hearts, and we have had people see the logo or whatever and knock on our door and say, we just had to meet you because we lost our child 2 years ago and we're still struggling. And we bring them in and we cry with them and talk with them and pray with them if they're open to that. And we've had a parent saw our Hope Mobile, took a picture of the logo and sent it to their daughter who had lost a child, and she connected with us, and playing bingo at one of the campgrounds, and ended up in a conversation and found out they had lost a child. And so we spent some time with them while we were at that campground. It has really been something to be able to travel to do what we do.
What state
It's been an honor. I'll say it's been an honor to serve these parents.
That's good to note. What state do you consider your domicile then?
It would be Wisconsin.
It is, okay.
I know, I say it like a Wisconsinite too, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's right. Well, both of us are natives of Wisconsin, if you remember. So
yes,
that's right.
And you have been in our rig while we were parked in our seasonal lot, and we've spent a little bit of time together up in Wisconsin.
That's right. That was fun. You said you authored several books?
Yes.
Yeah, and the one that is really, I guess, your flagship is When Tragedy Strikes. Tell us about the books.
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Tell us about the books.
Yeah, the When Tragedy Strikes, I actually woke up in the middle of the night with this title and all these ideas for chapters. And so I got up and wrote it down, and it was kind of like, guess maybe I should write a book. And as I started writing, it it was really interesting. I did not pursue a publisher, which is part of the story of this book. I went to a conference in San Diego, and it was a conference for author entrepreneurs. And I had started writing this book, and I figured I'm going to self-publish. I need to figure out everything I can about self-publishing, and ended up meeting this publisher, and he offered to answer questions. And as we were talking, he handed me his card and said, I would love to see what you've written so far. And I was offered a contract for this book through Morgan James Publishing. So that was just a phenomenal, just I haven't heard of that happening
It's
to
a
very
God
many
thing.
people. So yeah, and from that, I have a book, Come Grieve Through Our Eyes. I wrote it for people who want to know how to help grieving parents, and what are some of the things that we deal with that you just don't think about if you haven't lost a child. I have one of my favorites that is really popular. It's called My Grief Journey, and it's a coloring book and journal for bereaved parents. And the thing was, I wanted to give parents something to do, not just to read, but something to do. And I'm a colorer. I always have been, even before this coloring phase came back with a vengeance. And I'm a believer in journaling. My When Tragedy Strikes book is based a lot on my journaling, just the raw, real stuff when I was going through those first 2 or 3 years after Becca died. And so, this grief journey coloring book and journal, I have a friend who's an artist, and she hand drew all the pictures, and it has 42 words that have to do with our grief journey: sorrow, anxious, fear, time, family, healing, grace. I mean, just hope, all kinds of words. And so the word is there. And then there's a journaling prompt, because I know you hear a lot when you're going through something traumatic, you need to journal. And a lot of us feel like I wouldn't know what to write. And so this book helps you. It gives you a journaling prompt. So I just flipped it open right now. I see the word sorrow, and I wrote something on the left hand page about that word. And then there's actually a scripture verse on the bottom for that has that word in it as something to give us hope and encouragement. And then there's a journaling prompt. So here's sorrow. It says, I tried to hide my sorrow when. And so every word has a journaling prompt, and you don't have to color it, but a lot of parents, this is just a really good starting point for them in just starting to work through some of that grief. Resilient, I will never give up, because I'm just kind of flipping through the book here to see some of the words. Rest comes to my soul when. I color in my own book. The first word I colored was the word fear. And the journaling prompt says, my greatest fear is, and I wrote in there, losing another child. Because once you've lost a child, you know it can happen to you, and you know it can happen again, because you start hearing about other people and they become your friends who've lost more than one. And so that's this book. Well, then we started having people say, don't you have something for kids? So we went back to my friend who did the artwork, and she did a little bit of a simplified version. And I didn't put 42 words in, but I put in, I want to say 30, 35. So a parent and a child can get these books and do them side by side, and they can be coloring and talking about the same word together. And the one for kids, My Grief Journey for kids, isn't just for if it's for any kind of grief or trauma. So that one is a little more generic. And I have a book From Ring Bearer to Pallbearer. It's only available through GPS Hope. But like I said, Becca was the oldest of our 5 children. Our youngest son, when he was 6 years old, he was the ring bearer in his sister's wedding. And 10 years later, he found himself as the pallbearer carrying her casket.
Oh.
And it's a book that I allowed. My daughter wasn't at the time. It just it wreaks havoc through the whole family. The siblings are devastated. And so 3 of my sons kind of wrote their perspective from the death of their sister, and then our parents, because grandparents get a double whammy. They lose their grandchild, which is if you're a grandparent, there's nothing like grandkids. And so you lose your grandchild, and then it's like you lose your adult child watching them go through this, and
Right.
you don't know if they're going to make it. And so it's like a double whammy for a grandparent. And so all of our parents contributed to that book.
That's neat. Where can people get these books?
You can actually, all of them except for Ring Bearer to Pallbearer, you can get anywhere. You can, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Books A Million. You can order them through any of your major bookstores. They can also get them directly from us. We do have a web store at gpshope.org. Just click on the store tab.
And people can financially support your mission by going to gpshope.org as well?
Yes, there's a donate button, and they can donate to the ministry. They can either support monthly, or they can just give a special gift. If they want to put a heart on the Hope Mobile, there's a place to do that. So, yeah.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate the time. You're doing God's work on this mission, and I wish you the best of luck in the future. A lot of people need what you're offering.
Yeah, thank you. And if your listeners are believers in prayer, just as God puts you on our heart, please pray for us, because this is a very heavy, dark ministry. And we still, we lost our own daughter. And so you're never done grieving that. And so prayers are greatly appreciated, along with the financial support.
That's a deal. We'll pass on that word. Thank you again.
Thanks, Greg.
I'd like to thank Laura Diehl for sharing her incredible story with us. It's a compelling testimony regarding how her pain encouraged her to reach out to help so many other people process their own feelings of sadness, anger, grief, and hopelessness after losing a child. Every time Laura shares her story, I can tell that it takes a lot to do so, because it involves reopening some old wounds. Yet because of Laura and Dave Diehl's compassion for those who are grieving the loss of a child, many people find strength to endure their own dark situations. Simply having someone to talk to who truly understands the myriad of emotions they're feeling can help set them on the road to a healthy recovery. Grieving Parents Sharing Hope is a mission that is greatly enhanced by operating it from a motorhome. Not only can they easily travel through the country sharing their faith, but simply pulling into a campground often encourages others to approach them to share their own stories. Thanks to modern technology, Laura can run her mission from wherever she may be at the moment, but it does take money. If you'd like to support GPS Hope or buy a memorial heart decal to adorn the Hope Mobile, check out their website at www.gpshope.org. The site is chock full of resources for newly grieving parents and grandparents, as well as those who lost children long ago. There are also ideas for anyone to help their friends and family experiencing such a loss. Laura and Dave Diehl are work campers in the truest meaning of the word, because they work from their RV as they travel around the nation. Whether it is running a business or mission from your RV, or working short-term jobs for a variety of employers, Workamper News can give you information to help you plan a course to live your own dream and get you on the road faster than you thought possible. For more information about opportunities to live, work, and play in your RV, visit www.workampernews.com. This episode is sponsored by the National RV Training Academy in Athens, Texas. The Academy's one-week live training or home study course will teach you everything you need to know to fix about 80% of the problems people experience with their RVs. You can also sign up for additional training to become an RV inspector, campground technician, or to provide mobile RV service. For more information, visit www.nrvta.com. That's all we have for today's show. Next time, we'll talk with someone who is looking for work campers to help this summer. It's an opportunity available right now, and we'll provide more details on the next episode of The Work Camper Show. Thank you for listening.